Would you like to learn from those that are taking their lives, their businesses, and their passions to the next level? Best-selling author of Speakeasy and master connector Lou Diamond is here to connect you to some of the most inspiring and amazing people on this planet. Get ready to thrive loud with Lou Diamond.
Came in thinking top dollar to that old cotton crop farmer. They knocked on his screen door and he said, Lord, what you need, boys? And they said, you know, all the others went and cashed out. We got the subdivision all mapped out. It'll sit right here.
Welcome, everyone, to another spectacular episode of Thrive Loud with Lou Diamond, connecting you to the most inspiring and amazing people that are thriving each and every day. I'm your host, Lou Diamond. We have a special episode for you today because we have a fourth-generation CEO of Century Companies. He's also an author of Build to Flourish, literally a leader of a 100-year-old family business, and he is actively stewarding and transforming this business, not just in decades, but in centuries. Thrive Loud listeners, excited to bring you the Matthew Powell. Matthew, welcome to Thrive Loud.
Thank you, Lou. Honored to be here.
All right, this is pretty cool stuff. And literally, I don't want to go back all the way to the beginning because that would be many, many organizations. But I do want to understand a little bit about what you're about, how what you're focused on now became your gig, because literally I usually say I don't want to go back to the womb, but I think I have to in this particular case. So can you share the listeners a little bit about your story, your companies, and kind of how we got to where we are today?
I would be happy to, Lou. My history is quite unique. As a fourth generation business leader, I never had any plans in joining the family business. My great-grandfather started the business in 1917 as a scrap metal brokerage business. My grandfather joined when he was in his 20s to steward the business. And then my grandfather had 6 daughters, and none of them joined the family business. So my mother married a doctor and moved me out to Virginia. And I never had any plans of moving back to the Midwest, Milwaukee, which is where Century Companies is located. And I jumped on the train of investment banking and helping sell family businesses out of college. And as I was on that path, I started to appreciate that there are organizations out there that think in longer time horizons than the companies I was working with. I called my grandfather, asked him if I could come join the family business. And he told me in 2014, I was waiting for this call. So I jumped in the U-Haul with my wife, and we moved to Wisconsin and jumped into the family business. At the time, we were on typewriters and dot matrix printers. So it's been a beautiful journey of technical change, a beautiful journey of carrying on legacy, a beautiful journey of appreciating that business can be the greatest force for good.
Love it. Interested in going a little deeper here. Let's talk about what this business is. So it started off in this scrap metal business. What types of businesses is Century focused on today?
Great question. Today, we are in the safety and security contracting business. I like to say or think of us as the Berkshire Hathaway of safety and security contracting. We have Century Fence, which is our fence business. We have Century Traffic, which does pavement marking and traffic control within the Midwest. And then we do Century Security Solutions, which is our cameras, key fobs, access control. We like to partner with general contractors and business owners that want to secure their facilities. And helping build safer communities is our mission.
Okay, so quite a change from doing mergers and acquisitions analyst on Wall Street. And by the way, I came from Wall Street more from the sales and trading side, not the IB side. And I'd be curious, so let's put on that hat for a second. As you were transitioning and saying, I want to go into this business, your assessment nature and the ability to look at a company and see what their value is and what's there and what the potential is. Not easy to look at when you're that close to it, obviously, literally bloodlines through here. So from that perspective, as an analyst and looking at what the business was and where it was, tell me what was good about it and what needed to change.
Great question, Lou. What really intrigued me about investment banking when I first got into it was the story. Understanding quickly and being able to comprehend what is the story of the business. I really appreciate the stories behind businesses. I believe that every organization within its origin story has a spirit. And so learning that skill set, learning how to analyze was a wonderful skill that I've taken forward with me. What was missing on that journey for me when I was doing investment banking was the people aspect. I felt it was slightly short-sighted. I felt that there was an opportunity to build relationships beyond the spreadsheet. And that's something that my grandfather has taught me over the years that I've joined him and working alongside him at Century Companies.
Like it. All right. Now I'm going to hit you with the wallop one. Little bit about me, so you can understand this. I'm one of those, thought leader speakers, and I work with lots of different people, specifically in helping them to grow their sales and leadership skills. And I've actually been hired in a lot of those Vistage groups on multi-generational businesses that have literally, carried over like yours from generation to generation. I'm going to share a stat that I think you may even know. The survival rate of a business to get through the third generation is only 8%. 8% likelihood that it gets passed from the third to the fourth. Okay? Now, the fact that you've already gotten to the fourth and you're in that realm, one, are you aware of this success? And I'd love to hear from your perspective, did you take into account that type of risk that it is, that it's going through when you were looking at not only the people and connecting, but looking at it saying, what is the likelihood that this is going to be able to succeed just because of the natures of so many businesses changing?
I did not, Lou. I did not appreciate the challenges within family business. The quote that comes to mind is Phil Jackson talked about building dynasties is a spiritual battle. For a family business to transcend generations, it's an inside job. You need to heal your heart. You need to elevate your soul. You need to galvanize your mindset. And it's that journey that has been the most fruitful for me, is that the dips, whether it's from an ownership perspective, a governance perspective, an operational perspective, at all altitudes, it's an inside job for a company to transcend generations.
There's a real estate company not too far from me here who is just capitalized on the growth down here in South Florida. And they think in decades. They're literally building communities every 10 years, and they have a plan that goes out to, as I understand it, 2070, 2080 or something like that, based on the properties that they own. Which seems insane to some people when in today's world, thinking about a 5-year plan seems ridiculous because it seems too far because like literally 6 months from now, things can change. How are you able to think in centuries, fittingly with the name Century, by the way, Century Plants and Century Companies? How can you think that far in advance and think that way? How do we? What needs to be done from a leadership perspective, vision-wise, to think that far out?
Yeah, it comes down to 6 words for me. And it's amazing. You had some guests on your podcast, Marsha Dawood and Sue Bison. They talked about doing good while doing well. I believe to measure in centuries, you must do good, which is build belonging with your teammates, which creates alignment and discretionary effort. You must do well, I believe, when there's a long time horizon of 100 years or more, you allow the superpower of compounding to take effect. And then the last piece I spoke to just a little bit, be good. You have to be a steward. When you measure in centuries, it implies mortality, planning for those that come next, being willing to pass the basket. Ego is the enemy for a company to be able to transcend generations and measure in centuries. So do good, do well, be good.
I like it. I'm going to also ask a couple of other mantras, which I can see behind you, which we'll feature in a minute because I'm curious about those as well.
Yes.
I want to talk about this aspect, which is something that you did, which I think is a win, and that is that you didn't go straight into the family business. That was not an avenue for you. You were elsewhere and then chose to go in. Yet I think you know that many family businesses, this is what they do. They're like almost, there's a sense of expectations. And there's been a big push and movement to make sure that you get a chance to see what and learn from other places outside of that. I'd love to get your take on that because your experience is so unique. And you did have a skip because there was no one, your mom wasn't in the family business at that point. So there was a gap there. I'd love to hear your take as you think to the family business owners who are listening or watching this program, your advice as it relates to managing your family and continuing to grow a family business.
Yeah. I strongly believe, it wasn't intentional for me, but I strongly believe that after college or after high school, gaining experience in the marketplace, because for a family business to measure in centuries, transcend generations, you have to be relevant in the marketplace. And I believe leaders, family business leaders, need to be relevant and prove themselves in the marketplace first. I'm a firm believer in that.
Behind you is a mantra here: humble, hungry, and what's the last one? I can't see it. It's right behind your head.
Together.
Talk to me about what this is and what this is all about. Yeah.
Yes. One of my teammates built this behind me. In 2022, when I became the CEO, I institutionalized our spirit. I had spent 7 years in the family business in the second chair. I was studying and really appreciating the history of our team and the history of my grandfather and my great-grandfather. And I was able to find 3 words that I felt described the behaviors when we are at our best. The first one is humble. My grandfather put in place an extraordinary profit-sharing plan that most financially oriented companies would never be able to rationalize. My great-grandfather is the epitome of hungry. He survived a pandemic, the Spanish flu. He survived the Great Depression. He mortgaged his house to make payroll. And I always share with my team that we have to bring that sense of urgency to today. We have to honor that risk that he took and continue to protect our core and stimulate progress. Then our third value is together. I believe that there's an African proverb that says you can go fast alone, but we can go farther together. And to touch on the essence of humanity, all of us need belonging. We are walking each other home. And I believe that for a company to thrive for generations, you have to be aligned. And if your team, everyone on the front line is seeing the truth, and if they feel safe enough to bring the truth to the leaders, then you're able to transcend generations.
Matthew, you have done a lot of work internally in this organization. I'm going to run a list through here, which everybody can find out when we get to the plug sections. You've initiated senior leadership team. You've helped to build Century University. Obviously, you've helped to adapt credos, mantras internally within the organization. Love to hear what you do to look on the outside of the organization. What do you do to take from the outside lessons, or how you as this leader inject or incorporate things outside the walls of Century, or the fences of Century, if you will, to help incorporate them into your organization?
I believe because we live in a knowledge economy, those who learn the most will win. I love becoming friends with the imminent dead. I love reading biographies. I have found some of my favorite thinkers, Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger of Berkshire Hathaway. Yeah. They are students of history. History rhymes. And I believe that if I can live 100 or 1,000 lives in one life by reading other people's learnings, then it creates an opportunity for me to bring fresh perspective back to the organization.
Matthew, you have now been successful in getting this company here. Actually, let's paint that picture. How large is Century today? What does it look like today? Because obviously we're going to assume it started with just your great grandfather way back when he opened the doors.
Yes.
What does it
Yes.
look like today? What does that look like?
Yes, we have today in 2024, we have 250 teammates and partners. We do about 120 million in revenue at this time across our 3 operating companies that I shared with you, Lou. And I constantly tell my team that, yes, we are 108 years old, but it's day one. It's day one, that sense of urgency, that hunger to stimulate progress, because progress allows more people to grow within the organization.
Matthew, if you had an opportunity to have a conversation, unfortunately not with the imminent dead, but with those that have passed beyond, and you had a chance to have a chat with your great grandfather and tell him what was going on, what do you think his reaction would be based on what he started this company to be like? I mean, let alone 100 plus years of space between that would probably shock him. But what do you think he would think about it?
I'm going to lean on an experience I had with my grandfather. Last year, I brought the entire organization together for the first time. We were sitting in a room with probably close to 180 people in the room. My grandfather at the time, 94 years old, stood up with the microphone and said, "Oh my goodness, I can't believe how big this organization has gotten from when my father started it." So I think Henry would be shocked. I think he'd be honored with us seeking to be protectors of the spirit, with constantly trying to come back to the behaviors that allow a company to transcend generations through the hunger and the humility and working together.
There's something we do in this program, Matthew, before we go down the admin and Fun Street here, I'd like to share is that I love to ask the guests a little bit. I'm going to pull back the curtain and recognize this is an amazing story into and of itself, a 100-year business successfully thriving, which means on most days you are thriving. I love how you say you treat each day as day one. Yet you know that not every day is a green and shiny rainbow day. There are bumps and bruises along the way, and there are days when we're not quite kicking on all cylinders. When that happens to you, is there a practice you seek or an individual you seek out to help get yourself back on the thriving track?
Yes. I look at it as a practice. And I think all of our habits are what leads us to who we are today. I seek every day to have a practice of doing one thing where I'm creating. I write. So that's my way of creating. I learn every day. So I'm always looking to read a quality book, and then movement is my third practice. So create, learn, and move is my daily practice for the shiny days and for the rainy days.
If the listeners are checking out this episode, you got a lot of take-homes here today. A lot of 3-word references, a lot of aspects, a lot of spirits. This is going to be your easy, very difficult for my team to pick out the money shots for promoting this episode because there's so many lessons here. Let's do the admin part of the show. Matthew, share with the listeners all the places people can learn about you, where they can grab your book, Build to Flourish, where they can learn about Century Companies. We will put it in the show notes. It always gets more engagement when they hear it from you.
Yeah, absolutely. MatthewPowell.com. That's my website. I write consistently every single week. I've been showing up for over 2 years as a practitioner and CEO, sharing my lessons learned. And then also on LinkedIn, I have Matthew Powell there as well. But subscribing to my email is probably the best way to walk alongside me, and I can share what I'm learning as I'm measuring in centuries.
Perfect. I know you are, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Are you ready to go down Fun Street with me here on Thrive Loud?
I am, Lou. Let's do it.
I like this because I think this has been mentioned a few times, but not as many as I probably would like. Can you share with the listeners what you shared with me as one of your all-time favorite movies?
Remember the Titans. Okay. Teams are greater than talent. And that just is a constant reminder for me.
It's a tough one to watch, by the way. Every time the left defensive end gets in a car accident, I'm always just tragically hit based off the story. But it is good. Strong side, left side. Isn't that right? How it goes? I forgot what their little
yes.
is.
Yes, it is.
No, it's really good stuff. It's one of my. I think it like launched the whole series of Disney sports movies, by the way, which let alone Ryan Gosling's career, which everyone always looked for him as like a little kid, which is cool. All right, we're going to do the Speakeasy Pub Crawl. We're going to stroll down Fun Street, stop at all your favorite stops. You're going to share with us all the favorite things that matter the most to you. Ready to rock?
Yeah. I am ready, Lou.
Of late, a song that you love to listen to or one that's like your jam?
Right now, it is Dirt Cheap by Cody Johnson. It's my anthem for my professional career. It just, the whole aspect of seeking to do something beyond cash, beyond profits.
I like it. Doing good for the greater good. I like it, where it goes. Yeah. All right. Favorite food that's not a dessert?
Chicken piccata.
Favorite dessert?
Creme brulee. Definitely creme brulee.
Having moved to Wisconsin, have you become a cheesehead?
Yes, I am. I have to be. We've had a good run, too.
By the way, apologies here from a New York Mets fan in the last baseball series for your Milwaukee Brewers. Tough one for you. We're recording this.
That was a tough inning, yes.
Yeah, yes, it was a very tough inning for you guys. An activity you wish you did more of?
Reading.
An activity you wish you did less of?
Email. There's a strong gravitational pull to get that dopamine hit.
A new activity, one that you've recently tried that you like so much you want to tell everybody else to try.
Running. I've really started getting into running, and it's a way to really clear my head.
If I could sorry. Go.
Yeah. I never was a big runner growing up. But now having a young family, young kids, just getting out of the house is the biggest challenge for an activity. So putting on the sneakers and going for a run.
If I could snap my fingers and Matthew Powell could be anywhere in the world, where is he?
Banff, Canada.
Oh, I love that area. Love those. Beautiful.
Love the area. I love how it's not commercialized and you are able to really be in nature.
Yeah. Last question for you. The future, for someone that thinks in centuries and obviously is thinking about the next generation of Powells or other things, I want you to share a message to family business owners out there, to someone that has run now a 100-year-old century business. I love that we could say century over and over again. It's very, very applicable. What's the message you want to give to those other family folks who may have or may have to unearth the spirit that you've done and words of advice that you could share with them?
There's a lot of pressure in family business. And the message that I wish I would have heard 10 years ago is from Anthony DeMello. And he says, don't change. I love you just the way you are. That if you are leading an organization, you are enough. And just being present and caring for your teammates can create magical moments. Matthew
Powell, mic drop moment here on Thrive Loud. CEO of Century Companies, thank you so much for coming on Thrive Loud. Thanks for what you're doing, and continued success to you, your family business, and everything that you're all about, my friend.
Thank you, Lou. Such a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
To all our listeners out there, thank you for joining us. Until next time, keep moving onward and upward, and remember, be brief, be bright, be gone.
You can't buy that kind of dirt cheap.
You've been listening to Thrive Loud with your host, Lou Diamond. Check us out on the web at thriveloud.com and follow us on Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook at Thrive Loud. And check us out on the Good Pods app at Thrive Loud, where you can follow, listen, and connect directly to Lou and all of the Thrive Loud episodes. Thanks for listening.